Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of English One to One. My name is Lily, and today I'm going to be talking about untranslatable words from Spanish to English. Now, when we say that a word is untranslatable from Spanish to English, doesn't mean that there is no definition. It just means that there is no just one word that can substitute or define that exact word in Spanish. Like, for example, if in Spanish we say zapato, we automatically say shoe in English, right? So, but for these words, we need an explanation or a definition to say exactly the same one word in Spanish. Now, let's give a couple of facts about these two different languages. Let's start with English, right? In English, there is a total of 600,000 words, but most of them are actually not used. So, in the dictionary, you are just going to find around 230,000 words, which have a definition in the dictionary of English. But when it comes to Spanish, we only have around 150,000 words in the dictionary. What that means is that obviously there are more words in English, and that it makes it a little bit funny because in theory, there should be one word or more than one word in English to describe each word in Spanish, right? So despite that, there are more words in Spanish that can be translated or expressed in English, once again, with only one word. Along this video, I'm going to be giving you 3 examples of each noun, verbs, and adjective. So let's start with the nouns. The first word, it's very common in Spanish, and it's sobremesa. Well, what is sobremesa is when someone stays seated after the meal just to keep chatting. For example, when I was a kid, my mom's friend used to come over for lunch, and they will have a long sobremesa, all right? Which means they will stay chatting after the meal, sometimes for hours, right? That is sobremesa. Another word in Spanish is tocayo. Tocayo is a person who has the same name. For example, my name is Lily, and then I come across another person whose name is also Lily, and I will say, oh, look at you, we are tocayos, right? Which means that yes, oh, look at that, we actually have exactly the same name, right? So that in Spanish is once again only one word to define that, which is tocayo. Now, the third word about nouns, I'm going to give it at the end because it's one of the words that came out during one of my lessons, my speaking lessons, and I think it's kind of trending or new, so I'm gonna leave it for the end. Now, let's move with the verbs. The first verb that I'm gonna talk about is madrugar, all right? Again, there is no just one word to explain this or to express this in English, but we understand as madrugar to wake up very early. For example, if you gotta go to work and you live in San Juan de Miraflores and you need to start your job at 9 o'clock in El Callao, of course, what you gotta do, you gotta madrugar every day, right? So we will say, oh, I have to commute for 3 hours every day, that I have to wake up very early in order to make it on time to my job at 9 o'clock, right? Madrugar. Another one is quite the opposite, right? One is to wake up very early, and this is trasnochar. Trasnochar is the very opposite because it means that you stay up all night. This happens often when people are studying for an exam or when they just spend the night with friends. They had fun, they went to a party, etc. Right? So I could say, oh my God, I'm so sleepy now because I had to trasnochar last night because I needed to study for the exam today. But of course, we will say, oh, I had to stay up all night to study for today's exam. All right? Trasnochar. The last one here from this group of verbs is estrenar. But when we talk about estrenar, when it comes to clothes, right? Which means to wear something for the first time. So, for example, I I just got the pair of shoes that I ordered online, and I would like to estrenar them tonight during the party, right? So we will say, I just got my new shoes. I would like to wear them for the first time for today's party, right? Now, when it comes to movies, right, we often in Spanish also use the word estreno. Now, when we want to say, for example, in Spanish, la película se acaba de estrenar hoy. The movie has been released today. So in this case, estrenar can be replaced by the word release. All right. So once again, when we talk about clothes, the word estrenar might not have exact translation, but when it comes to movies, we can find a word that can translate exactly that same meaning. All right. Now let's go with the last group of words, which are adjectives. Now, the first adjective is friolento. Friolento means that you're very sensitive to the cold. For example, that is my particular case. Since I was a kid, I think I've been really friolenta, which means I've been very sensitive to the cold, or I am always cold, right? And with this winter in Lima, well, who is not? But of course, there are places in the world where it's colder than Peru or than Lima. We Limeños, we just don't know how to handle it very well, I guess. And because the humidity is very high, right? Okay, the next word is empalagoso. Now, this word also, we talked about it when we were in the middle of one of my speaking lessons, and one of my students asked me, how do I say empalagado? And I was like, that's a really good question, because I never thought about it, and I never realized actually that there was no translation for that. So when we want to express that we have an unpleasant feeling when we eat too much of something, especially sweets, we can actually say, for example, the suspiro la limeña was overly sweet and I can't eat it anymore, right? So you will describe the food using the word overly sweet to say that it's just too much sugar, that you can handle it more, all right? So there you go, empalagoso. Now, the next word is desvelado. Well, we have seen the word trasnochar. Now we see the word desvelado, all right? Which is not to get enough sleep. And we can apply the same example. I am desvelado today because I stay all night up because I needed to study for this exam. So I can say I didn't get enough sleep because I stay up all night in order to study for today's exam, right? There you go, desvelado. Now, I left actually two words for the end. One of them is the noun that I told you at the beginning, and also another adjective. Now, the adjective that I'm going to give you is quite controversial, okay, which is the word estadounidense. Now, we know that when it comes to nationalities, right, for example, if you're from Peru, you're Peruvian. If you're from Japan, you're Japanese. In the case of the people from the United States of America, they are called Americans, all right? So why do I say it's controversial? Because a lot of people get a little bit offended by the fact that they call Americans themselves without realizing that the rest of the continents, we are also Americans. As a matter of fact, Peruvians, we are Americans, Argentinians are Americans, Mexicans are Americans, we are all American. However, right, often when we take the country and the nationality, right, you take sometimes part of the name of the country. In this case, the name of the country is the United States of America. So some people claim that they actually took, it wasn't their intention, and what they did is they just took the last part of the name, America, and they changed it into American, right? Which is the demonym for this nationality. So once again, this is quite controversial, but in Spanish, we do have a word that refers only to people from the United States of America, which is estadounidense, all right? And American, which in Spanish will be americano, will be pretty much for any person who lives in the continent of America. Now, the last word is tardear. This word also it's been trending lastly because tardear means to start a party in the early afternoon, so it's over by midnight. And it's especially trending among people over the age of 30 because, of course, they state that when you're over your 30s, you don't have the same energy as when you were on your 20s or early 20s to stay up all night. And then the next day you have to go to work, or you simply want to rest and you don't want to have that hangover, right? So they use nowadays this word tardear. Now I've seen online that a lot of people say this is a word that was invented by limeños, but let me tell you that according to the information that I found online, actually this word came from Spain. They are not sure either which city exactly in Spain it came from. Some people say it's from Valencia, some people say it's from Murcia, but tardear is a trending word and trending activity that is also happening in Spain. In fact, Barcelona, Madrid, like the places where the party goes crazy, they do this, they actually follow tardear. Now, tardear in this case, nobody yet came with, of course, with another word to translate it to English. So therefore, we can use the original word, which is tardear, all right? In case, of course, a person doesn't know what it means, we will explain, it's to start the party early. So once again, there is not yet a word for it to say exactly the same thing, right? So, well, there you go. All the untranslatable words from Spanish to English. Well, if you came all the way to the end of this video, thank you very much. If you know more untranslatable words from Spanish to English, please let me know in the comments. All right, thank you and see you the next time. Bye-bye.